Pleasant good morning to everyone. Definitely, we are back with family matters, and today I am dealing with anger in families. Anger or vexation, whatever you call it, anger in families. That's what I'm dealing with today. When you look at our various families, whether it's single parent, whether it is husband and wife with children, or whether it is extended family, we always have situations where tempers flare. People get annoyed with each other, and all sorts of things happen. People walk out on each other, people stop talking to each other, and it definitely affects families. In terms of husband-wife relationship, sometimes people get annoyed and they stop sleeping in bed with each other for weeks. Sometimes one sleeping on the couch outside, or one in the veranda, or one in a different bedroom, all types of things. But within our homes, this is not good. We have to find ways and means of settling conflicts and dealing with anger. Now, the dictionary says that anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, a strong feeling of displeasure or hostility. And when people get annoyed, they say all types of things. And it reminds me of what somebody said. They said, listen, husbands and wives need to keep their words soft, because sometimes you have to swallow those words. So keep them soft. People, years ago when I was growing up, and that is a long time ago, they used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words cannot harm me. But as I grew, I realized that statement is not true. People's just your words can linger. If it's the wrong word, wrong statement can linger with an individual for life. And so people should not just open their mouth and talk because they're angry and they want to hurt somebody, right? Anger within families can spoil the entire day. Anger within families can create distance between husbands and wives, as well as between parents and children. Some families take a day off, and anger can spoil the day off. The thing about it is holding on to anger. It may not just be you getting annoyed, but holding on to it, not speaking to each other, giving each other the silent treatment. That definitely hurts. Definitely hurts. One boy was heard to be saying, hey, daddy has come home. Stop the laughter. Because daddy always vex. You see? So that was his impression of his father. That shouldn't be. Daddy coming home should be a time when children can get a chance to play, a time of joy, fun, right? Associating with each other, playing with each other, right? Homes should be places where things will annoy, yes, but we move on. And that is why one of the ways of dealing with anger is that we have to practice forgiveness. We have to practice forgiveness. I'm just jumping here. Another way of us remembering how to deal with anger is on a daily basis. When we get up in the morning or when we go to bed, we need to make sure that we keep in touch with God. One of the best ways to keep in touch with God is for husbands and wives and children to get up and in a very well-planned manner to come together and have morning worship. And when you close in the day, have evening worship. This is very important, because you see, God helps individuals to control the anger and to deal with conflicts. It means, therefore, that if at the beginning of the day you remember to pray, and not only the prayer alone is important, but I'm talking about pulling the family together and doing a religious song, reading from the Word of God, and everybody kneeling together and praying on behalf of peace and tranquility and safety. And then at the end of the day, when everybody come back home, before you go to bed, the last thing should not be sitting and watching at your favorite show. No, the last thing again should be talking to God, and this time telling him thanks for how he has kept you through the day. When people get annoyed, they do strange things. I heard a story. In fact, my wife sent that story to me. I don't know why she sent it to me. But in that story, the wife came home from work late one night. And when she came home, she called her husband, "Honey, you there?" And he didn't answer. I don't know what part of the house he was. But she went up to the bedroom. And when she got up to the bedroom, she noticed two individuals in bed, but she didn't see any heads. They just two pairs of feet, and the people were covered down. She got so annoyed because she was thinking a certain way. She was thinking that, listen, her husband is in bed with somebody, right? Because she now come home. And so she looked around, found a baseball bat, and threw some lashes on whoever, and then hurried out of the room. When she hurried out of the room, by the way, she did that because she was annoyed. She didn't seek an explanation or anything. Well, to be honest, who would want to seek an explanation then if you suspect that your husband is with somebody? Well, when she got downstairs, lo and behold, her husband was in the kitchen. And he didn't know what had happened, so he turned to her and said, "Honey, your parents came over, right? They came from some other part of the country, and I thought that our bedroom was the best place for them to stay, so I allowed them to use our bedroom. We can use the guest bedroom that is not prepared." She held her mouth because you know what happened there? She jumped to a conclusion and she was enraged, and it was her parents that she hit with that baseball bat. I say that may just be a story. It may not be true. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to check it. But listen, when people get annoyed, they must understand that they should not rush to a conclusion, and they should be very careful about weighing their actions when you get annoyed. One author said that you must be careful about how you speak or about what you do when you're annoyed. Hear what he say. He says that when you speak when you are angry, you will make the best speech that you will ever regret. The author's name is Ambrose Beach. He said, speak when you are angry. If you speak when you are angry, you will make the best speech that you will ever regret. So we got to be careful about our actions when we are annoyed, and also about what we say, lashing out with words. Words, we got to be careful with our words, because once they are spoken, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten. Let me say that again, because that hits me straight. Be careful with your words. Once they are spoken, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten. Wise words, eh? Then we gotta, well, people sometimes say that you hit me eye for eye, tooth for tooth. You hit me, I hit you back. But that cannot work in terms of us building families. It just cannot work. In fact, Mahatma Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. That's true, you know. An eye for an eye will end up making the entire world blind. So we got to be careful about how we deal with anger within families. Now let me share here. Some texts. 1. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 18. Because once you're dealing with anger, you got to go to the Bible. Once you're dealing with anger and vexation and conflict, you got to go to the Bible, the book of books. In Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 18, it says, a wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. And then in Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 32, it says, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Here the text is saying, don't be quick to be annoyed. Take your time within families, weigh the consequences. You got to think through what you're doing. Even in terms of disciplining children and in terms of sometimes spanking children, we got to be careful. People get in a rage sometimes. Parents get in a rage and grab anything because they're annoyed and they hit the children. No, that is not called for. Before you spank a child, you should talk to the child. Explain to the child what they have done wrong. Very, very important. And don't just grab anything and hit your child. Then also, some people think that the only way to discipline a child is to grab something and hit them, let them feel pain. No, that's not the way to operate. We got to understand, especially as children grow older, there are other means of dealing out discipline to them than spanking them. Take, for instance, in this modern day and age, children like the smartphone. If you have a teenage child, let's say 14, 15, you'd be surprised to know that taking their cell phone away for, let's say, 4 days would be better discipline than spanking them. Yeah, it may end up being more effective than spanking them. So we got to understand, I'm back to anger and how we deal with anger in families. We got to understand what I am saying is we must be careful about how we treat anger within our families in terms of controlling it, in terms of being able to say the right thing and doing the right thing. And when you are in doubt about saying something, say nothing. When you're in doubt, say nothing. Listen to Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 26 and 27. And this one to me is mainly for husbands and wives. In fact, in doing premarital counseling, I say to husbands and wives, you need to memorize Ephesians 4, 26 and 27. Listen to what it says. It says, be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil. Right? Now, what is that text saying, especially to husbands and wives? Well, first of all, it is saying that anger is a normal emotion that comes out when somebody is annoyed over something, right? Displeased, right? But the text is saying that we should not let the sun go down upon your wrath. In other words, at the end of the day, husbands and wives especially should take note of what happened. And you should be checking to see if you annoyed your partner. And as you check, if you realize that you have annoyed your partner, do not go to bed with that on your mind. And by the way, it goes another way too. Sometimes you annoy your partner and you don't know that you annoy your partner. And your partner is hurt. He or she should raise that and say, when you ate out the one mango we had in the fridge and you didn't leave a piece for me, it annoys me. You should have cut it and leave a piece for me. In other words, the Bible is saying at the end of the day, as we close off the day, we should make sure that we talk to each other, have that conversation. And if there is something that brought about an annoyance, we should be able to settle it and then go to bed. The text doesn't finish there. It says, neither give place to the devil. Giving place to the devil is when we allow anger to take us to the extent that we want to do something to hurt our partner. That's how I see, that's how I understand it. You cannot let anger control you as a husband or wife to the extent that you're setting out now. This girl that you marry or this husband that you marry, you're now setting out. Instead of creating a friendly atmosphere, now you want to find a way of hurting your partner. That's the devil's work. In other words, if you allow anger to remain with you long enough, the person who has annoyed you, you would now want to get even with them and to hurt them. That is not the Christian way. We have to forgive and move on with our lives. I want to look at how some people deal with anger before I close. How anger influences some people's behavior. Sometimes people deny that they are annoyed and they hide it and they push it on a back burner. But really deep down inside, they're struggling with it. I'm just painting some scenarios. When people are annoyed, they should not hide it. That isn't to say, well, you open your mouth and curse and use bad word. No, that's not what I'm saying. But let's come back to husband-wife scenario. Two people, one caused the other to be annoyed over something. As quickly as possible after, what they should do is sit and have a chat. And let me just point out, when people are annoyed and one is seeking an audience with the other, I'm dealing here mainly or mostly with husband-wife relationship, you should have that conversation in a very amicable way. It shouldn't be disrespectful where one shouting at the other. No. Have this conversation in a very respectful manner. And one of the things should happen. The person who is annoyed should be allowed in a respectful manner to speak his mind and to explain what is happening. Because, the thing about it is, what would annoy me may not annoy my wife. And what may annoy Patsy, who is my wife, may not annoy me. So you may be laughing and say, man, that simple thing you got to get answer about. But let the person explain themselves. Because it's not you who are annoyed, it's the person who is annoyed. Let them explain themselves. Hear them out. Don't shut them up. So the first thing should happen. Number one, when people get annoyed, the one who is annoyed should be allowed to describe what the problem is. Say exactly what the problem is and why you are annoyed. When that is being done, the one who is not annoyed should sit quietly and listen as the other person express how they feel about whatever situation. Now, if you stop them, you should only stop them to get clarity. You understand? As to what they are saying. But you shouldn't stop them and say, man, I don't want to hear what you have to say. No. Today's their turn. Tomorrow will be your turn. Because we within marriages, we annoy one another. It happens sometimes knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. So let the person, one, describe what the problem is. And then number two, let them, as they describe and as they ventilate, express how they feel about whatever. Don't stop them. Let them see how they feel about whatever. Because you see, it is their feeling. You can't tell them they're not supposed to feel that way. It's their feeling, right? Then, after they have expressed how they feel and you have clarity, then you need to come up with a conclusion, right? In other words, the conclusion can involve, man, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. I didn't really know that you look at this situation this way. But you mustn't just end by saying, I'm sorry. You're supposed to end, both of you, by charting what we will do in the future if a similar thing occurs. Very important. I want to repeat that. I want to repeat. First, the person who is annoyed should be allowed to describe what the problem is. And within the describing or description of what the problem is, why they were annoyed, they must be allowed to say how they feel about whatever. Then after saying how they feel about whatever, you must come to a conclusion. Don't leave it hanging. Coming to a conclusion may be the one that thought the innocent or the one who didn't really understand what is happening may have an opportunity to say, man, forgive me. I didn't really understand. This is how you looked at that situation. Now, after saying that, that's not the real conclusion. What you should do is chart or say the two of you conclude properly as to what we will do in the future when something like this happens. Now, that may look simple, but if people try that, it is going to help them. Definitely, it's going to help, and more so husbands and wives. I'm just zeroing in on that. It will help husbands and wives instead of people giving one another the silent treatment and annoyed and vex and all that. No, it doesn't call for that. We marry for a lifetime, and because we marry for a lifetime, we have to be able to come up with solutions to these various problems. In us now, that is two individuals. Now, husbands and wives are focused on. Now, apart from husbands and wives, other people get annoyed. People at workplace, parents and children, friends, not even people in deep relationships, workmates, etc. Now, when people get annoyed, one of the things they must do is admit that they're angry because of. I'm now dealing with you dealing with yourself. Then, if you are going to help somebody to deal with the anger, right, you must help the person to express anger in appropriate ways. Just yesterday, one guy, all he had to do on the roadway was to reverse a little bit and give the other fella a chance to pass. He refused to do it. And then when somebody behind the other guy gave him some space and he passed, if you hear the words this guy, right, shared or exchanged with the other person. Now, that kind of way of using four-letter words and coarse word expletives to express yourself, that is like throwing gasoline on fire. It can literally cause a fight. So in watching people, if you're going to guide and help and counsel individuals, we got to show them this doesn't help. The person with the bigger gun, drawing force, that mentality, it doesn't help. It just doesn't help, right? Then sometimes people with anger problems, they have those problems because their self-esteem is low and it is as if they haven't achieved much in life and they see themselves as a failure. Some of these individuals, you may be going your happy way and you're laughing at something and they're thinking that you are laughing at them when you have nothing to do with them, right? Folks with low self-esteem. So these individuals, you have to help them to understand their worth and help them to understand that in spite of whatever is your history, God loves you and cares about you. The other thing about individuals in terms of redirecting their anger, if people get a chance to be involved in doing something that they really like, a skill, not necessarily the job that they do on a day-to-day basis to pay their bills, but something they really like, a skill. It might be football, it may be table tennis, it may be craft, you name it. if they're involved in that, it helps in terms of dealing with the anger issue. I have to close here, but I close by saying, straight to the point, that God expects us within our homes and within families to be careful how we deal with anger. Because if we do not understand, or if we are not capable of dealing with anger within our homes, when your children, let me use that, get to a certain stage, they just want to clear out of your home. Because you as father, I'm just using that, you're always vexed, you're always annoyed, we can't talk to you, right? And then sometimes, if husbands and wives don't understand how to deal with anger, it means therefore later in life, when the children have left the home and you come to the stage that they call the emptiness, E-M-P-T-Y, nest, like bird nest empty, your children have gone. If you have not cultivated a way of being nice and kind and friendly and laughter and joy in the home, and anger is destroying that relationship, you and your wife will not have something good going. So my advice is, as husbands and wives, and as parents and children, deal with anger. Be careful. Ask God to direct the show. Be angry. Sin not. Let God direct the show. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Practice instant forgiveness. Practice love instead of hatred. Don't give one another the silent treatment and withhold your words from each other. No, don't do that. Do it God's way. And God's way is settling it in an amicable way. May God bless you. I want to pray for somebody today who may have an anger problem. Dear God and Father, you know the various homes right here in Grenada, Christians and non-Christians. And you know the struggles some people have in terms of dealing with anger. Help them to understand that tit for tat, an eye for eye, a tooth for tooth is not the way of dealing with anger. Retaliating, lashing out is the devil's way. But help them to understand that we as Christians, looking at a situation, taking our time to deal with that situation, and asking you, God, to control our anger is the better way to cause families and homes to be happy. Bless our children, bless husbands and wives, and may the atmosphere in homes be of such where morning and evening parents and children get up and ask you to help them to go through the day and ask you to help them to deal with the anger so that the home may be a happier place